We're back on the Artie Lange Show. I'm John Ritchie. Jim Norton is here, hosting, filling in for Artie. Artie, get better, man. We miss you. On the phone, we've got Tim Doyle, basketball expert extraordinaire. How's it going, Tim?
John, what's up, my man? What's up, Jim? How we doing?
Hi, Tim. How are you?
Doing well.
I wonder if you would like some diet advice from Mike Buschetti, Tim. Would you like that?
You know, when I think of a perfect body, Mike Buschetti is like top 3 on my list.
He's getting there. Well, we have some very special diet advice from Mike just for you. Here you go.
I've been vegetabling it up now to try to go to the bathroom more. Tim, I want to get cut up like a ribeye steak by the end of the summer, I hope.
My favorite part of that was that you said vegetabling it up, like it's a verb.
Uh-huh. I don't know if I caught that. Could I hear that one more time, James?
I've been vegetabling it up now to try to go to the bathroom more.
All right. Hey, well, along those similar lines, we've got... No, there's nothing similar to that. I was going to try to segue a little bit, but how about the game tonight? Did you watch the game tonight? You got the Grizzlies getting back into it, sort of.
Yeah, I was surprised the Grizzlies won that game. I don't think they have a lot of perimeter scoring, but you know the Thunder I just don't buy, and the reason I don't buy the Oklahoma City Thunder is Kevin Durant. He's going to win the MVP this year, and there's a guy on his own team that thinks he's the MVP, and that's Russell Westbrook. And
really?
Both guys are extremely talented. I think Russell Westbrook is probably one of the top 5 most talented players in the NBA. But he's got to recognize who the man is on his team, and it seems like there's almost like this battle between 2 guys who are great players, and they can't seem to coexist together. So they have so much talent. They're always one of the best teams in the league, but they'll never win a championship with both guys on the team.
Really? Now, last year in the playoffs, it was the Thunder aren't going to go anywhere because Russell Westbrook is out. Now you're saying this year they're not going to go anywhere because Russell Westbrook is in.
I just don't think they're a good fit. You know, sports is all about fit and systems, and I think Russell Westbrook's great. I mean, he's really talented. He'll win you a game. But at the end of the game, he's got this mentality that he needs to be the man. And the fact of the matter is, you know, Kevin Durant is the man. Get out of his way, get him the ball. I mean, all of a sudden when they fall down by 6, they give Durant the ball. He made probably one of the top 10 toughest shots I've ever seen in NBA history. Falling out of bounds in the corner, cans it, and gets fouled, makes the 4-point play. The game ends up going to overtime. It just Russell Westbrook doesn't make Kevin Durant any better. And that's when you're a point guard, you got to make others around you better. He's great at making himself look great, but he doesn't make anyone else look great. So a guy who's really talented, he hasn't really figured out how to play the game.
Do you think the Thunder miss James Harden now that he's in Houston?
You know, they had to make a decision, Jim. It was either James Harden or Serge Ibaka. And I think they felt like they had enough scoring with Westbrook and Durant that they chose Ibaka for his rebounding and defense. But, yeah, how about James Harden said he wouldn't shave his beard for $5 million. He wouldn't do it. For $10 million, I'd think about it. $5 million, he wouldn't shave the beard.
Wow.
Didn't they offer ZZ Top money years ago, Gillette, to shave their beards, and they said no, but they only offered them like $1 million?
Jeez.
I didn't really ask that to anybody specifically. It was just a boring
maybe.
thought that I vocalized.
That sounds...
You'll notice no one in this group knows who ZZ Top are except for you and me.
What are you talking about? Really?
You know what's amazing? Jim, I know you're a big Ozzy fan. I went to Ozfest, my first concert ever.
Who was on the bill besides Sabbath or Ozzy?
It was PNC Arts Center. Ozzy obviously got sick day of the show and did not perform. Marilyn Manson was on it.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. It was one of those things where it was like, you just drink enough, you're going to have a good time. Those are the only... I remember Manson was on. He came out of a toilet. He was fantastic. He blew a snot rocket on my buddy who left it on him the entire show.
Yeah.
Wow. That's the beauty of being a rock star.
Love. Yeah, I'm looking at the stats from tonight. Russell Westbrook, 1 of 7 from three-point land. It's not getting it done. 11 of 28 from the floor. He took as many shots as Kevin Durant tonight as the point guard.
So, yeah, I mean, think about that. 28 shots in a game. So,
yeah.
I didn't think
it's Iverson-esque.
Yeah, exactly. And Allen was a great player, great individual talent. Scored the best of them. Did he make anybody better? No. I think Durant. I actually think that relationship is going to get broken up within the next 2 years. They can't win it all with those two guys. I know it's hard to fathom. They just don't fit together.
Right.
How did the Lakers do it with Kobe and Shaquille? And they both had big egos, and they thought that they didn't work well together.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean,
Phil Jackson.
Kobe's going to go down as one of the 10 greatest players in NBA history, and Shaq is one of the top 3 centers in NBA history. So, I think that was also next level type of stuff. But, Shaq's also a big guy, and he got a lot of easy baskets. We're talking about perimeter players. You could always just throw the ball down to Shaq down low, and he was able to score. And, for Kevin Durant to get elevated in that Kobe Bryant conversation, well, he's going to have to win 5 more championships. So, it's hard to say because it's different types of players because both Westbrook and Durant are so ball dominant, where a guy like Shaq, he got all of his work from his teammates feeding him. And, Shaq reminds me so much of Wilt, where I think they both got bored of the game. Like, the game was so easy for Shaq. He was so big that he won, how many titles with the Lakers? And he was so dominant for that stretch of time. I think he became bored by basketball.
Maybe. Yeah, that's a good point. I think the Lakers working with Kobe and Shaq has everything to do with Phil Jackson. And Phil Jackson today makes a move and fires Mike Woodson. The word on the street is Steve Kerr, it's his job to turn down. Have you heard anything else about that?
That seems to be the likely fit. And I'm sure they can offer Steve Kerr, $4 or $5 million a year. And it seems like that's going to be the right decision. Is that the right basketball move? I'm just not sure if you're a Knicks fan that you want your coach taking orders from someone who's in the stands. Don't you want someone who's a coach who coaches the team? Like, I don't want Phil Jackson, yelling out plays from the stands. I want Phil Jackson to choose his coach and then let his coach the team. I think people are getting confused here that Phil's going to coach the team from the stands. It's not going to work out that way. And if Phil starts second-guessing his coach's decision, well, then this relationship is not going to work. It's a big difference from making the decision to sitting up in the stands and watching the person you put in place make the decision. So I think it's going to be an interesting transition. Whoever the head coach becomes, does he live under Phil Jackson's thumb, or is he his own man?
Well, there's a couple thoughts there. I was thinking about the fact that, Steve Kerr is his guy. Steve Kerr is a Phil Jackson guy, a clone of Phil Jackson on the court when he was a player, not physically, but, mindset-wise, he knows exactly what Phil would do. What would Phil do? Well, I know, and I can tell these guys what to do based on that. And then the fact that Phil has already said he's not going to coach because he can't withstand the rigors of travel, on planes and on buses and things like that. So Steve Kerr's going to have to do it on his own when he's on the road, essentially. He can't have a little, earbud in with back to home base, back to headquarters where, Phil Jackson's feeding him information. I just think that, the system, running the triangle, I think, Steve Kerr obviously grasps those concepts, and it's the kind of thing where Phil will probably be coaching him up, in the office, but then kind of let it work itself out on the court. I just wonder if Steve Kerr has the chops to begin with, in the respect that he's never been a head coach, has he?
How about he's never been a coach?
He's never been a coach. He's never been a coach, and he's been doing, commentary. So basically his last experience near a court was as a player.
He was the GM, John, of the Phoenix Suns, and he basically got ran out of town.
Yeah.
Well, then why are they talking about him as the next guy?
Yeah, I know. So this is where I laugh at that. Phil Jackson paid his dues. He was a coach in the CBA, and then he was an assistant coach.
Yeah.
And then he was an assistant coach some more. And then finally he got the head coaching job. He paid his dues. Now it's let's just name Jason Kidd coach. He just finished playing. Let's just name Steve Kerr the coach.
Well, we don't even know. We don't even know that Steve Kerr is going to, we don't even know that he's in the picture. He was asked about it today, and he said, yeah, there may be a conversation there. But he said, basically there hasn't been that conversation yet. This is all just speculation. But right. I wonder if there's anyone else on the radar, or if this is all just wild speculation at this point.
You know, there's a lot of chatter of who might make the jump from college to the NBA.
Yeah.
I think I told you this before, John. I think that Tom Izzo, great Michigan State coach, I think he's going to eventually take that Pistons job just because of the money, the fact that he doesn't have to move his family from, East Lansing to Detroit. He can still commute to work every day. Michigan State, a big alum, owns the Pistons, and now Michigan State, they're going to go into a little bit of a downward year or two, after they could not, this is his first class that did not get to the Final Four as a group of seniors. So I think he's definitely going to advertise that stuff. So I don't know. John Calipari, would he take that job? Is that a good fit? As it comes to Nick. So I think you're going to hear a lot of college guys who may make that jump to the pros.
Doesn't it seem like, and has Jim Boeheim said he's just not ever going to coach in the NBA? Has he ever made that clear?
Yeah, I've never heard that. Do you know he's been at Syracuse for almost 60 years?
Yeah, that's incredible. But he's also been around the Knicks program as well, and he's been in Madison Square Garden, and he follows, Carmelo, and I don't know. I just wonder if he's ever just come out and said, there's just no way I'm ever going to do that.
Wait, how old is he?
If you were ever looking for someone to play like a Where's Waldo, Boeheim would be perfect. Like, just give him the red and white sweater.
Yeah,
put him anywhere.
You're right.
Like the Bronx, you could find them right away.
How old is Jim Boeheim, Shane? I mean, because if he's been there for...
He's 69.
He's in his late 60s.
Wow, okay. Yeah, maybe that's not going to work anyway.
You would want him as a rookie coach, would you? Guy in his late 60s, his first day at the big job. He's all happy for himself. You're like, ugh.
Yeah.
Too old.
Yeah, you're right. What about Carmelo going to the Bulls? Does he make them? I think it's an amazing move if it ends up happening. I don't know if Phil Jackson wants to get rid of him too. Have you heard anything along those lines?
The chatter out here in Chicago where I live is that the Bulls can't score. They're last this year in the NBA in scoring, and Carmelo Anthony, that's what he's known for. He puts the ball in basket. He's a guy who grew up with 13 years old. I would say offensively, probably one of the top 3 players in the league as far as creating his own shot and what a mismatch he is. But if I'm Tom Thibodeau, next year I'm looking at my roster. It's like, okay, I got Derrick Rose coming back off back-to-back knee surgeries. See how that's going to work out. Oh, and let's just add in what people consider is the most selfish player in the NBA to my team. So on paper, it seems like it's going to work out really well because he's going to provide what the Bulls don't have. But when you look at the roster overall, and John, you know how important chemistry is to teams. It's like, all right, let's bring back our star, Wade, who no longer is our star. That's Joakim Noah, who's clearly become the face of the organization. Oh, and by the way, let's just add in Carmelo Anthony, who's been known as the biggest one-on-one player in the NBA. So it seems on paper that this is going to work out. But when you just start bringing all these personalities together, as we've seen the Jets do throughout the years, as we've seen the Mets do and fail, you can't just put a hodgepodge team together. Check out the Knicks this year. They didn't make the playoffs. They were in the worst Eastern Conference maybe ever assembled because they had such bad chemistry together on the court.
Wow, yeah. Did you see Carmelo wants to be kind of recruited and set up in a room to meet teams and that sort of thing?
It'd be interesting if Dwayne Wade retires this year, if he goes and if he becomes LeBron, Dwayne Wade.
Wow. Yeah.
And there's, because Dwayne Wade plays every other game now, and he takes nights off.
Yeah.
If Dwayne Wade retires, the Heat win the championship this year, and he retires. Does Carmelo become, LeBron's whatever, Robin to his Batman, whatever you want to call it? So I've heard that being kind of floated around a little bit. So I'm curious to see. I think the big move is, I don't know what Phil's going to do. Does Phil start over? And by firing the coaching staff, including Herb Williams, who had lasted through 6 different Knicks coaches, you get Herb, you're done. Everyone's done. Now, does he do the same thing with the players? Does he start from the bottom? I personally think he should. Problem is, the Knicks have no draft picks. I mean, none. No first-round picks this year. So if you move a guy like Carmelo, you got to get some first-round draft picks back, and then you start building for the future. So, I don't know what the move is. I think Pau Gasol is probably going to end up as a Knick next year because he's such a great team guy. I think he's a Hall of Famer. He's one of the great international players of all time. I think Phil's going to make a move to try to bring Pau Gasol in, try to fit him into that triangle system. But, yeah, I think that's going to be the huge chess move. If Phil keeps the guys or if he clears out.
Yeah.
Don't you like the fact that he just kind of came in and fired everybody? Like, that must be a fun thing to do when you get a new job, just fire everyone.
Yeah, you're the new guy, and you just kick everyone out. And listen, that staff, actually played. They coached well enough to turn that organization around to some degree, as far as winning percentage goes, and as far as going to the playoffs again, that sort of thing. I guess just not after this season, missing the playoffs. That's just so atrociously bad that got them pushed out of town. What about, speaking of atrociously bad, Indiana? Are they broken and unfixable?
You know what happened there was they traded Danny Granger, who was good at one point, but now he's done. Whatever. He's at the end of his career, but he was that leader in the locker room. He was the big brother. He was the guy everyone went to. Paul George ends up getting a stripper pregnant during the course of the season. His game has completely gone in the toilet ever since. These are all facts. This is what's happened. He was considered the
Granger, he was a role player, though, right? I mean,
who's that?
Granger.
He was the voice of reason. He was Paul George's guy. Everyone looked at him as the veteran guy. And ever since he's been gone, the Pacers are a 500 team. I think the Pacers are going to lose to the Hawks. I think they're completely done. They have no confidence. Their coach on the sidelines, they have a shoulder slump. His body language is horrendous. I mean, they're playing the Hawks. If I was a betting man, I'd bet the Hawks. I think the Pacers are so mentally checked out on this season, they're going in the wrong direction. I'd be absolutely shocked if they won the Eastern Conference. If they made it all the way through and made the NBA Finals, I would think it's crazy because they've lost all of their swagger. They've lost their identity. They're not playing any defense. So for them to make a 180, I just don't see how it's going to happen.
Is the stripper going to have the baby?
I think he offered her $1 million, and she turned it down.
That's really a dumb move by an NBA player to have sex with a stripper and not be careful.
Yeah.
They really are. That's like hitting the lottery for a stripper.
Yeah.
If it was me who got her pregnant, she'd take 50 to get an abortion.
And ever since then, Jim, he was considered, in December, he was going to be the MVP of the league. The MVP of the league.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, this happens. His mentor gets traded, and now all of a sudden they're in a whole 0-1 to the 8th seed. And the last two times that an 8 seed beat a 1 seed in Game 1, those 8 seeds went out and won the rest of that series. So history's not on their side. Confidence is not on their side. They're trending in the wrong direction.
I did see some of that game, and they do look kind of listless, and the confidence. I don't know, offensively speaking, is their offense one where guys just don't move ever? Because it just looked like people were kind of standing there, and then someone would take a shot, and then it was over, and then just retreat and play bad defense. It didn't look like they had a set offense.
One of their key offensive players is Roy Hibbert. Now, he has played miserable this month. He's only scored double figures twice the entire month. And when you look at the NBA now, nobody has a good big man. You know what I mean? There's 5 good centers in the entire NBA, but he happens to be one of them. Yeah. And the Miami Heat really worry about him. But his game is going completely away, and now they're playing the Hawks, and their center likes to shoot threes and shoot jump shots, and now Hibbert defensively.
So you're pulling Hibbert out of the paint.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so the matchup is just not good.
They got to put Hibbert on the bench. The best move is to go small and say, Roy, we're really sorry. You can't play unless they put another big stiff out there for you to guard, because he's lost in that offense and defense.
So is that how they win this series, if they pull Roy Hibbert?
I agree. Yeah, and you know how hard that is to do. You have a guy who's an all-star, a borderline, to say, "Roy, I'm really sorry, you can't play." So, yeah, they're gonna need to do something drastic. I don't know if that's gonna be. If they don't win this first round series, coach is fired. If they have the best record in the East, they're gonna fire Frank Vogel.
Wow. The guy who knocked up the stripper, is he married?
The guy, no, did he marry?
No, is he married though, and he was on the side, or this? No.
I did just think it was a fling.
Oh, okay.
So they're not still together.
I didn't check his Facebook recently. I think it just says it's complicated with right now.
Yeah, right.
Click on.
What about? You're a Chicago guy. What do you think of Seabrook being suspended 3 games? Do you agree? Or probably not.
It was on a scale of dirtiness. It was probably a 7, 8. I don't think it was like a 10. It wasn't like he, took his stick and like swung it at his head.
Well, Dan doesn't think it was dirty at all.
Always by the boards, it gets a little hairy because, if you think the guy's going to be able to race up into the glass or into the boards, maybe you go in there with a little more emphasis. Yeah. And on that play, Backus wasn't really, he wasn't on top of the board. So when Seabrook hit him, his head went back, and I think it looked a lot worse than it was. But always by the boards, if you're a defender, you want to put the guy right into the boards. And all of a sudden, if he loses the cheat, it could get really bad. I
mean, he got the shoulder to the face and then the back of his head to the rail. It was, and I felt like Seabrook launched. So, that's illegal.
Couldn't happen to a nicer team.
Dan loves them.
The Blackhawks or the Blues?
The Blues.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And the Blues want to play physical. And the Blackhawks are a finesse team. They have a lot of great offensive players. So the Blues are basically like, we're going to punch you in the mouth. And in that game, that penalty Seabrook took, all of a sudden, that opened the door for the Blues. They score, they win that game. And I thought the Blackhawks were taken out of their element. And the Blues had them playing a style that they didn't feel comfortable in. So Blackhawks won tonight, 2-0. So the series now is 2-1, St. Louis Blues. I think it's far from over. I think it's going to end up 0-7. It's a great rivalry. And, now Backus could potentially be out the rest of the series. So maybe something that Blackhawks fans are happy about because he is their leader. Like, he is their guy, their glue of that team. So if he doesn't come back, that could be actually worthwhile move by Seabrook going forward.
Yeah, I guess so. Well, hey, Tim, thanks so much. It's always great talking to you.
Jim and John, talk to you guys.
All right, take care, man.
Bye, Tim.
The Artie Lange Show, weeknights on Audience, only on DirecTV.